And thank you for watching and listening to a new edition of the East West Football Podcast. I am Fidel Barraza. Alongside with me, like always, Kendall Whitley, Jerry Martinez. What's going on, guys?
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Tuesday night.
Hey man,
Live in action.
football's on Thursday, right? So let's get right into it, man.
Yeah, so obviously there are a lot of news, broke down today, and we'll start off with the biggest story of the day. The Dolphins will forfeit a first round selection in the 2023 NFL Draft and a third round selection in the 2024 Draft. And owner Stephen Ross is suspended through October 17th of 2022 after a league investigation. So, Corey's story broke out maybe about a month ago that the Dolphins were tampering, talking to Tom Brady and Sean Payton in hopes of bringing them both to Miami. Well, it looks like they concluded that, and it looks like there was some tampering that happened during the season and whatnot. And but the most interesting thing is that as far as Brian Flores goes, the NFL found no wrongdoing as far as Stephen Ross paying Brian Flores to lose games in the NFL season. What are you guys' thoughts?
I think Jerry hit the nail on the head there, and I appreciate when he said that those picks could be huge. Because if Tua's not the guy, then what does Miami do with those picks next year? I mean, they don't have the first and the third they took. I know they got a second pick, but this is a huge season for Tua. But back to Stephen Ross like this, I mean, they NFL they handle their business and whatnot. He got a fine. They lost draft picks, but I think it lands heavily on the Dolphins, on Tua, on the quarterback situation. But we know how important that is.
No, I mean, not only that, but like I think Goodell looks like Goodell's. I guess he was out, right? I think he had some kind of surgery, so he hadn't been able to be making decisions, but now we're starting to see these decisions now that he's back in the office, and he's not holding back. If anything, he's setting a clear example. We've seen it, and it's documented with what the Browns did. And now this kind of brings more to light, like, wow, like this stuff real, the wheeling and dealing, it happens. I mean, it's happening all the time. I mean, we see it more prevalent in NBA settings, right? Especially during All-Star weekends, stuff like that. But wow, the NFL is not joking around. Like, going forward, any NFL team caught doing this, I mean, looks like you're gonna give up a first round draft pick, and those things are very important, especially if you're trying to stay competitive, or if you need to, maybe perhaps rebuild with a new quarterback. That, I mean, these quarterbacks right now that are coming out, and they're ready to go. They're ready to go and start for you day one. And like we mentioned earlier, right before we went on, I mean, this is, if Tua doesn't pan out, man, Dolphins can be at that place they don't want to be at, right? And stuck with a quarterback that can't get you over, can't get you into the playoffs and can't get you a playoff win. It's very frustrating. I mean, I know how that is exactly, being a Cowboy fan.
Yeah, and I want to read some tweets from our friend Ari from PFF. So the Dolphins tampered with Tom Brady back in 2019, 2020, and again this past season and offseason when they tried to bring Brady and Sean Payton. And I mean, the report is pretty long, but essentially they found that the Dolphins had communication with Tom Brady while he was with the Patriots in 2019-20, and again while with the Bucks in 2021. They also had communication with Sean Payton earlier this year.
I mean, let's get this kick. Let's kind of look at it for, let's say this news didn't break out. Let's say something like this did happen. Do you think Sean Payton and Tom Brady could, be the missing pieces for the Dolphins to get over that hump and maybe even make it punch their ticket into the Super Bowl?
Ooh, well, you see, if they did get Brady and Peyton, would they been able to have the assets to get Tyreek Hill and some of the other things that they did this offseason? So that's another twist to that story.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy, man.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind too is that Brady and Peyton actually share the same agent in Don Yu.
Yeah, I did see that. I mean, if anything, I mean, I don't know if I should, you know what I mean. I personally, it just is, it's crazy. It just shows you how bad these owners want to win a championship, that they're willing to take this risk here and there, and this risk looked like it bit the Dolphins in the butt. But I mean, right now, I still have faith in Tua. I mean, I think Bleacher Report is probably one of the best, one of the better. outlets out there to get you like film footage. At first, they're the ones who broke the news that Tyreek was saying that, you know, Tua has a accurate arm. But I saw a video most recently where they said look at Tua throwing a 65-yard pass. So Dolphins don't feel completely bad. I think the season. I mean, the season up ahead looks pretty good for the Dolphins. I'm interested to see if this 49ers coaching staff can really work in any NFL team.
Yeah, and just going back with Tua real quick, it's easy to look good in practice, right? I mean, you really don't have anybody that's going to rush you or anything like that either. So that's the other thing we do have to keep in mind. But I mean, they did have or get a lot of talent this offseason.
Yes, they did. I mean, the Cheetah, not only that, but they brought in running backs from the 49ers. They filled some holes. They traded away Devontae Parker, right? I've been hearing great stuff about Jaylen Waddle. So, dang.
Yeah, Waddle had a pretty good year last year. I think he had 1,000-yard season. And let's get some respect to Mike Gesicki. I think he's a very underrated on tight end. He's pretty good, pretty good tight end.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so I mean, look, this news. I mean, again, it was about a month ago where the reports that came out initially that Tom was looking to go to Miami. I know right now he's getting a huge mansion built there in Miami, and obviously Sean Payton. It looks like he was looking to get out once Drew Brees was going to hit retirement.
Yeah, I don't blame him, man. I mean, look at the Saints is kind of one of the biggest questions for the NFC South, all in all, right now.
Yeah, and then of course the injuries keep on coming. So today, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, Tim Patrick, suffered a torn ACL in practice. And, unfortunately, that's a bad thing about training camps, right? And preseason is that we are going to see some injuries to some players.
I hate that for Tim Patrick. Young, up-and-coming player, just got a new contract this offseason, man. That's gonna hurt Denver. They do got KJ Hamler coming back. So I think they'd be okay. I think they'd be okay there. On KJ Hamler from Penn State. I believe it's like a second or third round pick, I believe it was a few years back. I want to say the 2019 draft, or it might have been the 18, 20. It's one of them. But that's I mean, it's not good for Denver, but I do think they'll be able to make up for it. Still got Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, good offensive line, and a running game, Russell Wilson. He's gonna make them all better.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Russell Wilson, I think is the most important piece, right? That puzzle needed for the longest time, which is a quarterback. So I think with Russell Wilson, and then like you briefly kind of said, the running game, they got Javonte Williams. He's an absolute stud, man, from North Carolina running back, who last year was his rookie year, and he's coming into his own. So now he knows what he needs to do to be successful in the NFL. I mean, you can expect him to get 1,000 yards rushing, which is something that Russell Wilson, when he's had an effective running game, he's been able to distribute the ball equally. And they got a couple of tight ends. I mean, they got a couple of tight ends. I know they got rid of one. I hate to say got rid of one, but they traded one. They traded one, but they drafted one. Greg Dulcich out of UCLA. This tight end is gonna be good. I mean, they have Albert O previously from Missouri too, so they got weapons all across the board. It's unfortunate to see these things, but I'm telling you right now, this is probably not going to be the last name that you hear. I expect several teams in the NFL for players to go down. I mean, this it just happens. It's a part of the business of playing football.
Yeah, I mean, we already saw Ryan Jensen go down, right? And it looks like he's going to be out for a majority of the season. Also, Tristan Wirfs today was actually carted off the field as well.
Yeah. I mean, those are very important pieces too.
I did see a tweet earlier. Sorry, Ken, I don't mean to cut you off, but I did see a tweet earlier in the day saying maybe Tom Brady should reconsider retiring since he doesn't have anybody to protect himself.
I actually think those Buccaneers injuries are worse than what Denver got hit, because I think they're pretty deep at wide receiver. But when you start losing your offensive line that protect the quarterback, that's not good. I heard they're looking at J.C. Tretter. They might bring in J.C. Tretter, formerly at Cleveland. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, just think about that playoff game they had against the Rams, Kendall. I mean, the offensive line was the issue because Wirfs got hurt as well. Yeah, so I mean, that's very concerning for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, they got to get that fixed, and they open up with Dallas, and almost about a month from now, they open up from Dallas, and Dallas can bring it with D-Law, Michael Parsons. They got some pieces there.
Yeah,
Hey,
and then
I'll say this, man. Right now, I mean, I know they say every year is the Cowboys' year. Well, you know what? This year is the Cowboys' year.
oh man. Well, I mean, look, speaking of the Cowboys, obviously, we know that James Washington got hurt yesterday in
Okay,
practice. Looks like they got a Liz Frank injury. So the Cowboys do need some help at wide receiver.
I hate to be insensitive, right? I mean, I hate to not be sensitive. I mean, I would have loved to see what James Washington was able to provide to the Cowboys. You know what I mean? I think James Washington did have a great year. 1 year with the Steelers, he looked like he was going to be he was going to emerge to be something special. But I'll tell you this much right now, from what I mean, all the reports. I mean, you can go back, you can go and check out Jeff Kavanaugh. You could check out Dave Hellman, Botch Lombardi, Will Steele, Law Nation. Everybody's out there in Oxnard right now covering the Cowboys, man. And it's a consensus thing. Everybody's saying the pick that the Cowboys did, beefing up that offensive line. I'll tell you this much right now, that everybody's kind of excited to see what Zeke can do with a fresh offensive line that's ready to, get the job done and block and get that running game going.
Yeah, and we're actually 2 days away from the actual preseason opener, which is the Hall of Fame game between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Unfortunately, if you guys are looking for stars to play in the game, more than likely you're not going to see them. Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne are going to be out, and more than likely Derek Carr will not play as well as Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams and so on and so forth.
Yeah, this right here is just gonna be a fill or not game or whatnot. Both teams got some pretty good depth, so we'll see what happens there. I did want to see a little bit of Trevor Lawrence and NTN coming off that AC, after AC was ACL injury, I believe. Coming off the AC, I did want to see a little bit of both of them together, but they still got like three preseason games because the teams that play the Hall of Fame game they get the extra game, so they still got a couple games to go after that. But not surprised to see the Raiders sitting Derek Carr in this one. But hey, good chance to see some good depth players and some people that's trying to make the team.
I think you said it well. I mean, like you said, as much as it's as exciting it is, but this is where we kind of get to take a look at maybe people that are trying to break the actual starting lineup. I'm pretty sure it's going to be across the board for the first 2 weeks. We're not going to see the main names playing in these games. It's usually the third week and maybe sometimes the fourth week of preseason, but it looks like all teams are trying to preserve their players because it's a 17 game season now. So
yeah. And then these two teams are the only ones going to play 4 preseason games. Everybody else is only going to have 3. So, as you can expect, you're just not going to see a lot of starters just because of the injury factor.
Well said. I mean, from there, it allows every player and every team just to kind of go into a full season game after that.
Yeah, and then Hard Knocks starts next week, and that's going to feature the Detroit Lions. I actually saw a clip from the first episode, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, Hard Knocks every year. Feel like they choose these teams that got these interesting characters. And I think this year it's Detroit Lions head coach. That's what I think it is. So I mean, we'll see what happens there, whatnot. But I think Detroit will be a sneaky good team this year. I do think they're going to be okay.
Hey, I'm with you. With that's actually Walter Stringer, right? Shout out to Detroit Avenue YouTube channel. Walter Stringer, right? Also our scout, our main scout guy. He being from Michigan, Detroit being his team. I mean, we were talking about this, and man, they've really built up this defensive line. There's only a couple things that we got to see, right? Because this is a relatively young defensive line, but dang, they're going to give a lot of pressure to a lot of these quarterbacks that have been dominating the entire NFC East for the longest time. And then we're talking about A-Rod and Kirk Cousins. I mean, for the most part, I'm excited. I think Hard Knocks. Sometimes they're a little over dramatic, but it's good to kind of see like the ins and the outs. And Detroit Lions is one of those teams that people are going to be interested to see because they're in a complete rebuild mode, and they have a quarterback who has previously played in the Super Bowl in Jared Goff. So you never know, man. They could probably catch lightning in a bottle.
I think in a couple of years, Detroit, they're going to be something to reckon with in that division. Just look at the future. The Bears, I mean, Justin Fields, they got to continue to build around him. Kirk Cousins, we don't know how long he's going to be in Minnesota. And Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be going to Green Bay soon. So, I mean, I think the future, Detroit's building for the future. I give Detroit about a good 2 or 3 years, and they're probably going to own that division.
Yeah, look, it's just an exciting time. Football's back. I mean, preseason starts on Thursday, Hall of Fame this weekend. It just feels right.
Hey, but Bears organization, why am I hearing that you guys are trying to trade Tevin Jenkins, man? That's your left tackle is going to protect your quarterback. Like, you guys didn't even give him wide receivers, man. Or, you guys are banking on a tight end that you don't know, Cole Kmet. I mean, maybe he could step up, but Justin Field needs help, man. Don't be one of them teams that don't help out your quarterback.
They did trade for N'Keal Harry.
That's not saying much. That's not saying much at all. I did see that he did overthrow someone at practice, and Eddie Jackson picked him off. So
yeah, I saw that. So
hey, man, the Bears are going to be the Bears.
Don't be the Bears, man. No more bear down, man. Let's see that bear kind of.
Well, they can't even get up, so there's going to be a bear down.
Yeah, sorry, Isaac. Isaac, our fantasy guru.
All right. And with that being said, thank you everyone out there for watching and listening. We'll be back tomorrow night. Till then, have a great night. Stay safe.